Did anybody get asked? Yep, recording will start soon. All right, it's recording. What I talked about with the schools, I'm going to recap at the end of it. So if you want, you can look at this online and it'll be taken care of at the end of the session. If you don't want to listen to it again, you don't have to. All right, so we have how come the temp is taken at the school instead of the bus stop? If someone gets on the bus, it is now too late. All have been infected at that point. If going to, right, then do it right from the beginning. It makes no sense to only care at the school. It's not a matter of caring at the school. Part of that was the request of myself and also the union. If we were to have you take the temperatures of 35 kids at the stops, your routes would go from a 20 or 30 minute route, 40-minute route to much longer than that. It's very difficult at this point to take those temperatures before they get on the bus. It has a lot to do with depending on the temperature outside, depending on the kids standing outside. There's more involved with it. And the fact that even when you're using the infrared, according to our director of nursing, even though you're using the infrared, they are not always correct when you're talking body temperatures and being outside. So you could possibly get the wrong information on a large scale, as in get more wrong information than right information, whether the child is hot or they're bundled up or it's cold outside. So what they're doing is they have the kids come in and they're using a temperature, that thermometer that has been inside and at room temperature. They're going to get those kids as they're coming in. And if they don't have the proper temperature, if they're too low or they're too high, those kids are going to be put aside and let them acclimate to the building, and then they're going to take that temperature again. I just found out today how much is involved in taking the temperature when we were talking about helping out the kindergarten kids at the kindergarten level, so, which is why I'm not sure whether those associates are going to be doing that or not. So taking the temperature at the actual stops could produce too many wrong informations that we would either be sending kids home that don't have a temperature or letting kids on the bus that do. Andrew's getting on. Yeah. So at this point, that is the reasoning for not doing the temperature at the stops. All buses should have an associate to do this no matter what the cost, because of what all entails. I'm not exactly disagreeing with you, but if we can find associates that I could have on 70 different routes, I would applaud you for finding 70 more. That would be approximately 60 more associates that I would need, because right now our current associate toll is about 18. So finding people willing to do 2 or 3 hours of work a day is not easy right now. I'm sure it would be even less easier as we're talking about, oh, by the way, we want you to ride with 35 kids. Let's see, any more questions? Okay. What are we supposed to do with our kids learning, e-learning on their day off? Most of the routes, if they have a high school route with them, will get done approximately 12 to 12:30. And from what I understand, e-learning starts somewhere in the 12 o'clock vicinity. I'm not sure. I did not write that down. We'll have to talk about it. I don't really have an answer for you right now. We're still talking about options. There is going to be the option that employees' children can go to one of the schools, one of 4 schools that is having kids club. And the flyer that is coming out is $25 an hour, or $25 a day, not hour, $25 a day for the students. Come talk to me about it. It's one of those things that we'll see what can be discussed and what the options are. Those would be places that the kids could be, and they would be supervised for their e-learning at that time. Yes, $25 a day, not an hour, a day. Then what do temps need to be taken at all if they are reliable if you're doing it under the right conditions. They're not reliable if you're outside and you've got cold air, too cold, too hot, or any of those things. I can tell you that when I go to Zion to the hospital, while it was the winter, in the summertime when everybody had their air on, we would go in, they'd take the temperature, and then they'd make us stand there for 2 minutes so that we could warm up because we came out of a cold car, and they would do it again. It's not that they're unreliable. It just, if we had to do that for each child at the stops, there is no way that we would be able to get your routes going and be timely. Will trans staff have their temperature taken or fill out self-certifications? Yes. There is going to be self-certifications. We will not take your temperature, but there will be self-certification for you also. That's a little farther down on my list. But we'll go ahead and address it now. So what's going to happen is the district has an app that you'll fill out before you come to work, and you'll need to answer some questions and take your temperature and self-certify yourself before you come into work. Our tech department will make sure that if you want it on your phone, they will show you how to get it onto your phone if you have trouble doing that. Otherwise, it could be done on a computer. So either one works. What will be the protocol when a driver or student has been tested? Yes. Oh, wait, got another one here. Dina just came on. What will be the protocol when a driver or student has to be tested? Will others that are in direct contact with the person be informed and given the option to get tested or quarantined until the person gets the results? Everything, once a person is suspected of being sick and on COVID, everything then gets turned over to our nursing staff and the health department. If it is something that the health department is not available, then our head of nursing is the one who starts the process, talking with the person and making that determination whether they're going to go get tested. If it's a doctor that sends this person to go get tested, then that too goes to our nursing and it goes to the health department as to whether anybody else is getting tested. If somebody is positive, that comes back positive, then it is definitely in the hands of the health department.
No, I'm asking, let's say Heather had to get tested. Will I be informed that she was going to get tested before she got a positive? Because what happens when I take it home now, I was never informed that she may be positive. What's going to happen to all the people I've exposed in the meantime? Because we work so close together, I should be informed. So will that happen? What happens when he has a student on that's getting tested that has been on his bus that he has been in direct contact with, or an associate? That associate goes to get tested. That driver should be informed.
Brian, are you online?
In that situation.
It is HIPAA still.
It is not HIPAA. This is an epidemic.
Brian, are you online?
Yep, I'm online.
Did you catch all that?
When he goes home, and
Yeah, I did.
He goes home to a spouse who is not.
Would you like to comment on that? Because it's a little bit different than what's in our protocol.
Yeah, the protocol that's set forth by the health department, and we will inform people as soon as we need to. But as far as someone having flu-like symptoms and being at home, we're not going to inform everyone for that. But if there is a doctor-generated test, or if the health department is telling someone to go get tested, we're going to let you know. We've had this in our offices that have been open for most of the summer. The process has worked. We've informed everyone. I understand the concern.
Yes,
and we've informed people. And the one thing that we cannot do, we cannot force an employee to get tested. The health department, doctors can order those things. We cannot, but that's where our quarantine system comes. For at that point, those people are going home until they clear the quarantine or they have a negative test.
What they want to know is if when you've got a driver and an associate on the bus, if the associate goes and gets tested because they're not feeling well and they go get tested, they're supposed to inform us that they're going to get tested. They want to know if they're going to be informed at the same time that they go get tested instead of waiting until the results come in.
If
There's a
it's someone you're
possibility.
working in close proximity to, yes, we would.
Okay,
But only if we're told. Remember, we can, we control that as well. We can't control if someone doesn't tell us.
okay, so as
Okay.
long as we're told, or as long as it's something that we send them, or the health department or the doctor sends them and we're notified of it,
Yes.
yes.
But that would only be people that work that would only be people who work in proximity. I'm not telling the entire department. I'm not telling, an entire shift. But if someone, it falls under that 15-minute, 6-foot component, like what was just described, 2 people working in a bus together, we would tell them right away.
Okay.
Okay, and
That's
that
what I
works with the
want.
children too, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I wanted. So, okay, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Okay. Will papers be mandatory, unlike now in where we let kids get on without it? And the only kids that are getting on without it is at the school level that they're saying to bring them in. They will have to self-certify. Brian, how are they going to handle it? Do you know how they're going to handle it at the school? Because we don't know if they've self-certified or not. Is that?
That's also going to be done, through the Power School app. So, as you said already, there won't be any paperwork. So that will be at the school. When they get there, the school will know. And as I understand it, they'll take the student to an isolation room in the building, and then we'll contact parents.
Okay. Did that answer enough of that question?
What I don't
Well,
want
here
that happen, I don't want that person to stay on the bus and then be brought back. I want them to go into isolation and we take care of it that way.
Right. And I know that's why I didn't mention that at kindergarten, because that's up for discussion again too.
Can I ask another question that kind of, now we're having concerns when a driver gets tested, whether first thing, our buses, our mechanics going to be informed immediately, or whoever is going to be in contact with that bus, whether it be who's ever spraying it, that there was.
Probably not. We're probably going to change how we're spraying it for them to work on them. It's going to have to be disinfected before they get on it. It's the best idea. Drivers are supposed to be disinfecting them at the end of each route. At the end of the day, we'll go in with the electrostatic, and we'll do it once at the end of the day. But they can spray and disinfect it before they get on it. So that Bob and I will be talking about. Is staying on leave. Let's see. Won't kids be sitting near the aisle be exposed to other kids passing? Yes, they will, but that goes with if they've got the masks on and they're just walking past them. Theory has it, and I say theory has it that it won't be exposed. That comes under that 15 minutes proximity along with having the mask on, which is why it's going to be very important to make sure that the kids keep their mask on and keep reminding them of that. So if somebody gets sick, that the people that are sitting far back from them, and I don't know how many kids are going to be walking past them. Right now, until I come through the complete plan of it, you're probably loading from the back and moving forward, and then loading from the front. And when we unload from at the schools, you're going to be unloading evacuation style. Front seat out that door, and you just keep going back. Those kids don't stand up. They stay seated until the people in front of them have stood up and started walking down the aisle. So there shouldn't be too much walking past students down the aisle if we're loading from the back to the front and unloading vice versa. But they should be okay, and they would not be in that 6-foot range. It'll be just to keep the kids sitting around them in that 6-foot range that would be contacted in the event that somebody was sick. Is staying on leave an option? I'm going to wait till later to answer that, Bridget, when I get down to that on my list. So then if we have to quarantine because of exposure, will we still get paid? I'll answer that later on when I'm talking about the CARES Act. You can't control who we are close to on the bus. You may not even know that a student was in close contact with someone because of something that happened on the bus. Bloody nose, temperature tantrum. What do you mean you can't control, Chrissy, what do you mean you can't control who we are close to on the bus? As a driver and an associate, you're going to be close to all of them. And on a special ed route, that's why you're wearing kind of double protection. You've got the face shields, plus you've got the mask that you're wearing. You can wear the gloves. Those are being supplied to you. So I'm not sure what your question exactly is. If you want to unmute and ask me, that'd be great. Otherwise, type it in. How is loading at the school going to work? Not all that detail has not been completely. That's part of those details that I will get on the web page as I get them. I have to talk to each school and see how we want to do this, because they can't have all those kids line up and just disperse like they were. So we're going to have to come up with some sort of a unloading plan and a loading plan. What if my student gets exposed and has to be quarantined? Do I get paid for having, again, I'll cover that later. Is there anything a driver can do extra that has an underlying condition? I'm not sure. That would have to be something you'd have to come talk to me, or if you're looking at, that would be a question that you would go and talk to Brian about too, if you've got something that you want to discuss that's going on with you. All right. So next on here is masks. The health department has now determined that the neck gaiter masks and the bandanas cannot be worn when you're in the school setting, that they're not effective. So the ones that were given to you by the union drivers, you can't wear those on the bus. It has to be one of these type of masks, or a cloth, or one of them that's the surgical mask, those type of masks, the temporary ones. I will have more of these in black. We're going to put an order in for more. So anybody who hasn't gotten one, or if they've gotten ruined or anything, come see me and we'll give you another one of these. You can wear cloth masks. You can wear, let's see, what else do we have here? Pardon me? Yeah, the surgical masks. I already said that. The ones, yes, homemade masks are fine. They don't say anything about being single, double, triple layered. What the reasoning behind the gaiter mask and the bandana is that because it's open on the bottom and it's not covering under your chin and it's letting the air in, letting the air in. Unfortunately, that is also letting the droplets out. And the way our head of nursing explained it is that the CDC, where they thought any type of mask would work, they have determined that anything that has any type of openings, or it's not fitting properly here or under your chin, and it's not above your nose, that there's the possibility of those germs still getting out from you or getting into you. And that's why they've said that the gaiter masks can't be worn and the bandanas. What you do when you're on your own time in that's up to you. What they're telling us is that when we're in contact with students and we're working with them, that they have to be a proper mask. So everybody that's got the bandana mask on, please come see me. We'll get you one of these. If there's something else that you have that works, or that you have that works just as well, that's fine if you've got a mask. There are some options for the ones that go around the ears, which is what they're suggesting you wear, or they've got strings on them. Come talk to us. We'll see how we can help you. But from the first day of school, we'll finish off the summer, but from the first day of school, you have to be wearing a proper mask while you're driving the bus. And in the workplace. Right, in the workplace. Okay. A reminder that all of the kids are going to have a mask on your bus. If they come to your bus and they don't have a mask on, you can ask them if they have it. Maybe it's been their backpack. You're going to have extra masks. We have a limited supply at the district. according to our nursing. So Lisa Tate is asking that you don't just hand out these masks that we give you to every child. She would rather they get their own or they get sent back home. We know that we can't send them back home because their home could be a block and a half away, and we're not going to wait for them at the stop. So if you have a child that comes without a mask, we're going to give them one of those masks, but then we need to make sure that that gets reported to the school that you gave them one of those masks so that they can find out why they don't have one. Ask them if they have it in their backpack first and then give them one. We cannot transport anybody that doesn't have a mask. And we can't just send them home. So we don't just send them home. We make sure that you call in, let us know if they don't have one or you've run out. We'll try calling the home and see if there's a parent that can bring one out if we only have to wait a few minutes. Otherwise, we have to make sure that there's somebody home to receive them. So you don't just arbitrarily say, you can't ride the bus, you have to go home. So make sure that you're in contact with us and see if they have one in their backpack.
That includes high school.
That includes everybody. Nobody is to be transported without a mask.
No, I mean, at home.
Yes, it even includes the high school. The goal is to get the kids to school.
Well, yeah, but I mean.
So the first time, unless for some reason you're out of them on your bus, the first time is to give them one and then report it so that we can get the school involved and find out what's going on as to why they didn't have a mask. Because they can't be in school without a mask either. Yes, ma'am.
Di, can you please tell everybody what you told me about not giving them our personal disposable ones?
Yes, we have masks here that have been given to us through our nursing department that we'll hand out. Don't give them your own personal mask, because if something happens, just going on the really evil type of scenario down the wrong path, you give them a mask because you've got extra in your purse that are disposable, and you give them one and they get sick, they can inadvertently come back to you and say it was because what you gave them wasn't a good mask or it was a contaminated mask. Only give them the ones that the district gives you, because that's what we're providing for the kids. So give it to them. Don't take that extra risk and be nice and say, well, I've got a package of disposables here of my own. Don't give them your own. Just give them the ones that the district hands out. We will get more. We have quite a few now, but we will get more for the start of school so that everybody can start the year off, I'm hoping, with about 10 of them on the bus. And hopefully we don't have that many kids in the first couple of days without masks. If a student are only going in for a few hours, are we going to get our guaranteed hours? And is no difference what, oh, okay. The answer is at this time, yes, you are getting your time. We are going to have some afternoon stuff going on. I have been approached about bringing kids in for reading and maybe some extra services in the afternoon. We've been talking about the possibility of getting supplies. I've been asked if we're going to have supply buses to get supplies to the remote students that are all remote. So there hopefully is going to be more than plenty, so it's not a matter of having to sit here and do nothing to make up your time. We should have stuff that can be done and be able to accommodate all the hours for the people. Other than that, it's going to kind of go the way we did it with what we're doing right now. We talked about it. You guys came in, you did whatever. We didn't count any grassways yet. That's next Wednesday. So we will, the answer is, yeah, we'll do that. It's just, you might be working the afternoons too. Okay. Is there any questions on the masks? All right. We've already talked about the employee temp, but just to say it again, everybody before they come to work will have to self-certify on the computer or on your phone. Our tech department will get that information out to everyone so that they can put an application onto their phone and have it that they can self-certify there. One of the things that you will have to do is take your temperature. So you're going to need to make sure you do have a thermometer at home to be able to answer that question truthfully. And then the other questions that are on there are the basic questions that the CDC put out also with, you know, cough and sore throat and all of that stuff. Any questions on self-certifying or masks? All right, I don't. Yes.
What if your internet service goes down?
What if your internet service goes down?
Yeah, the charge does quite often.
Are you going to be putting it on your phone?
No, probably. My phone blacks out, doesn't work all the time.
Brian, is there going to be any problem with having them come in and do it on paper when they get here?
No, that will not be a problem, but we will make the app available to everyone.
Okay, so we'll have paperwork that you guys can have as a just in case
Okay.
it doesn't, and it just means filling it out and turning it in then. Since let's see, since we're going to have 20 some kids on the bus for school, are we doing the same now for field trips? Not 100%. We'll let you know when school starts if that's what we're going to do. I don't know with the field trips what's been decided right now. Right now, the work is on getting the kids into school. We will probably do field trips, continue them as we're doing them until a decision comes down from Dr. Moen as to whether he wants to increase the number on the field trips. Unless you know, Brian, otherwise that's what I took away from it. Anything different on the field trips as school starts? Maybe you're not there anymore. I will try to get that posted onto the webpage if I get any other different answer. So if we are not feeling well and have contacted you to advise we are not coming in, do we need to still self-certify? I will have to let you know on that. If you've got, you know, flu or tired or other symptoms, and normally where you just call in and go, I'm not feeling good today, or I have a migraine or something, I don't know. I'll let you know on that as to whether or not you still have to fill out or do that self-certification. Can the teachers review with the kids prior to starting school about wearing their mask on the bus? Teamwork makes the dream work. Yes, I am pretty sure, if not almost positive, that is all part of what they're working on at this point, because they're going to be upping that for being in school also. And that'll be, it'll be doing it for the bus and in school. Okay, so we've already talked about COVID and the procedures that we have in place if somebody is going to be tested or sick. Are there any other questions surrounding the COVID as to whether or not, whatever, does anybody have any questions about the COVID and what we're doing with that?
Diane, was there a question for me? I'm sorry, I was having some problems getting off mute, but I am back.
They were asking about field trips, whether since we're upping the number on the bus for students going to school, are we going to up the number for the athletic trips going out?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right. I'll get that confirmed before school starts. Nothing is changing until we actually physically come back to school.
Correct.
Okay.
Does he have the answer on the self-certified?
Were you there to hear about questioning the self-certify, such as they wake up, they've got a migraine or they're not feeling good, but it's not COVID symptoms and stuff. Do they still have to self-certify if they're calling in sick for work that day?
No, they do not. If they're calling in sick, it's a regular sick day, they do not have to self-certify.
Okay, that works. All right, so back to the questions that I said that I would answer. The CARES Act. The whole CARES Act is in place until January 1st. But the part where it affects whether you can stay home and get paid, that discontinues as soon as the district goes back to school. So as of the 19th, getting paid to stay home on the CARES Act like you've been getting paid, that won't be available to you. Let's see. I got a couple.
Can I interject just for a second, Diane?
Sure, go ahead.
It's related to the school of where your children attend. So what Diane said is perfectly true if you're a D200 parent, because we're coming back on the 19th. If you're in a different town, it's whenever that school comes back in session, because the way the law is written, it's school is closed and you're unable to send your child there. One question that we get a lot of, and the way the law is written, is that is if the school is open or not open. If the school has a virtual option and someone chooses to keep their children home on that option, they are not qualified for any more FFCRA, because that was a choice. The school is open, and so that paid leave is not available.
Okay, any questions on that? All right. Then we've got are you able to stay on leave without pay? You are always able to ask the Board of Education for a 30-day leave of absence without pay. I don't know, Brian, will we extend it beyond the 30 days, or would it have to be asked every 30 days?
No, we'd extend it. We'd want to work with everyone on a case-by-case basis, but due to COVID-19, we would definitely be open to making it longer.
Okay, so if you want to be on a leave without pay, then that needs to be taken care of through our HR department. If it is a medical leave that you're talking about, and it's something that has to do with the fact of COVID, then that is something that still goes through Brian, like it was before this, and talking with him, because each one's being looked at and handled according to what the problem is and stuff.
And the key there is going to be documentation from your doctor. And then we're going to look at whether or not they're saying you should be medically exempt and cannot have any contact, or you can have contact, but there's additional accommodations that would go past what we have in the hybrid model. So again, Diane said, it's really important that we talk one-on-one, because each case is different.
And it also goes if you've got a family member that their doctor is telling you that you should not be out and about because of some illness that they have, correct? They just need to come talk to you and get the proper documentation for that.
Yes, but it's paramount that there has to be documentation from a doctor.
Okay. So does the CARES Act come back into play when we are quarantined or our kids get quarantined due to exposure? That it's always in play, and it's in play until January 1st. If you are being quarantined because you were exposed and we tell you, or the health department tells you that you have to quarantine, or your doctor tells you you have to quarantine, then that falls under that act and you will get paid for it under that act. The difference is you can't wake up one morning and say, God, I don't feel good. I got a headache. I've got a throat. I'm going to take the next 2 weeks off because I think I should self-quarantine. You have to go to a doctor. That doctor has to say, yes, you've got these symptoms and you should get tested and or quarantine, and they give you the paperwork that says that. And then we are going to follow that, because that can come from the McHenry County Health Department. It comes from, if you are one of our, if you have our insurance, talking to our 1-800-MD, and that's what they tell you to do. Your own doctors, if that's what they tell you to do, then all we need again with that is the documentation. It has to be documented by either the health department, 1-800-MD, or a doctor that says that you either A, have gone and gotten tested and you have to quarantine until that test comes back with a result, or B, that you're going to quarantine for 14 days. It has to be documented, and that has to be given to us. And then, yes, it would go under the CARES Act. And if I understand it correctly, Brian, is that a one-time, or is 14-day, or is that?
Yes, currently, and some of these things are being challenged in court, so they may change, like so many things during this time. But right now, the legal decision has been that each employee is allowed one FFCRA COVID event. So they're allowed paid leave one time during the pandemic. Now, again, Diane's mentioned January 1st. Unfortunately, that came from the fact that when they first passed this act, way back in the start, they felt that the the issue would be gone by then. And now we're really coming into a time frame where that's probably not a case. There's already some political movement to extend FFCRA into the next year. They haven't done it yet, but I know that they are already discussing it.
All right, now there's a question about how is the district going to accommodate e-learning for parents that have to come back to work? They are offering that sitting supervised care learning to where we've got 4 schools that'll be open, and our employee students are welcome at those schools. It's for $25 a day in order to do that. But come talk to me if that's something that you want to look at, and we can see if there's any leeway there. Otherwise, most of our routes, there might be a couple routes that will accommodate being able to get your children back home for their afternoon e-learning, but I'm not positive, where they have to be remote hooked in. On the days that they are asynchronous, the morning or the afternoon, depending on what they're, if it's an A day, they're an A student, they're going to go to school in the morning. In the afternoon, they're going to be asynchronous. That work can be done anytime. But on the days like on Tuesday, then, where the B students are in, the A students are expected to be online and remote in the afternoon. And I believe, depending on the school, that starts anywhere from right around 12 o'clock, give or take. So that might be more difficult being able to accommodate that, because a lot of our routes will be going at that time if you are taking a route that has middle school or high school. Our kindergarten routes, they're going to be leaving about 11. They might actually get done by 12. So it really depends. I didn't look to see what time the e-learning was in the afternoon for the elementary students and that. It just depends on what route you have and whether or not you'll be able to get back home in time for them to be able to get online with their teacher. But there will be the availability of putting them at one of those 4 schools in a supervised learning manner for the e-student or for the remote learning.
Diane, I have a question.
Just a minute, Tracy. What?
Is that only for district employees?
Yes, that is only for district employees at this time.
So nothing's being offered, Kids Club is not being offered to any of the D200 parents or students?
Tracy, hold on. Brian, we are not having Kids Club for D200 parents, correct?
No, that the Kids Club personnel will be running what Diane just described, but it will only be offered for our employees who are also parents.
Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
So I just have a quick question. So let's say you have kids in Creekside and then you have kids in an elementary school, and so 2 of my they're overlapping or not overlapping. So I'm going to have kids home that don't go to school a day because that's their time to stay home and e-learn, but I'll be at work. So how is that going to work? So I'm going to have to find childcare for the kids that are home. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's kind of confusing. Because
The district will be offering supervised learning for the kids where they can come and do their e-learning, the remote learning. Prairie Wood, darn, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, so you're saying on the days that my kids don't have school, I have to get them to that kids club before I go to work in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you would be dropping them in the morning. All of the remote online learning is in the afternoon. In the morning, if they're not in school, then they're on asynchronous learning, which means they've got things to do, but they don't have to necessarily be talking to the teacher at that point. So because the teachers are going to be talking with the students that are live in classroom. So the only remote learning where they're online with the teachers is in the afternoons. So if they're an A student on Monday, then they would be in the afternoon on Tuesday in remote learning. Otherwise, they're asynchronous, so they don't have to be at any point someplace right away. They could actually go to work with you, and then your downtime between your morning route and your what would be the afternoon route, but it'll be late morning route. They would be able to do their work at that point at home, and they could be on, it's the one where they have to be in while you're doing your afternoon route. That may overlap with what time they have to be online with the teachers for afternoon remote learning. So that would be the time that you would want to have them in the kids club. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. No, I haven't gotten down through. Oh, what did, how do we contact Brian? Well, talk to me. I'll give you his cell phone. No, I
Smoke
won't.
signals.
Smoke signals. Okay. Smoke signals. No, you would contact our central office, which would be 815-338-8200. And and you can get that off the webpage, or you can call in and ask. We'll be more than happy to give you the phone number. You can leave a message there to contact Brian, or you can, if he's in, you talk to him at that point. And is there a specific information you need from the doctor, i.e. a form to be filled out? I don't think there's actually forms, is there?
No, there's not a form, but our request would be that the note is as specific as possible. And it's important to note that that is 100% confidential. That is something that I keep in special files in my office. And basically myself and Kim Norval are the only two people that have access to that, because that's, all HIPAA. But as specific the note as possible. So if your doctor says you're cleared, but there's specific things he doesn't want you doing or she doesn't want you doing, we need that in the note. If your doctor says you absolutely cannot have any contact, he has to make it as specific as possible, because that'll help us work with you on what our options are.
Jane, did that answer what you needed to know? Okay. Let's see, next one. How many hours? Oh, wait, what'd you say, Jane? Well,
Yes, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right, so how many hours are we going to be working a week? It'll be 5 days a week, or it'll be your hours that you are, Maria Rodriguez. It would be your COVID hours. So in your case, it would be 15 hours a week. Because of the Friday asynchronous and routes, we're going to look at how that's going to work. It may mean that you're going to come in on Friday and we do something. It may mean that we will make up that Friday so you can stay home on that Friday if we don't have anything that's going on. I don't know exactly what the weeks are going to look like, because I don't have all of these. They've got a lot of things that they're looking at how they can educate the kids and give them that extra special stuff that they need. So I'm not sure what our afternoons are going to be 100% look like. But you will be working whatever the COVID hours that you worked last year. So in your case, it would be the 15 hours, and it'll probably be 3 hours a day. It might be different. It might be 4 hours or 3 hours and whatever to make that up. For our kindergarten associates, it'll probably still be about 3 hours, because you would take them in and then we'll take them home at the 11 o'clock. As far as our special ed, that I'm not sure. They're still working on who's coming in for special ed. So if you had a special ed route and that's what you're looking for, that'll be one that we'll know better when we find out exactly who's coming in and what days they're coming in and how they're doing that. Any other scenarios you guys want to ask, do it, because I think I covered most of those. How many days a week in school? That would be, well, every other week it'll be 5 days. And every other week with asynchronous Friday, if we don't have something that's going on your route or anything like that, then we're going to have to work out the 4 days. Because on the asynchronous Fridays, I'm sure that the ones with families are going to want to be home with those kids or whatever. If we have something to do, they can bring them with even on that. Right, but they will still be home alone.
How many days a week in school?
Hmm?
I thought they were asking the school schedule.
How many days a week is school? 5 days a week. Yeah, it's a normal school. just every other week will be an asynchronous Friday, which means the kids don't have to be in, well, yeah, the kids don't have to be in school and they will not be online with them, with anyone. Okay, right, but they'll still be home alone. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, okay, I understand. Never mind, didn't go down far enough. So Kids Club is $25 per kid. Yes, and if you're interested in it, come talk to me. We may be able to work something different out. It just depends. Brian and I were talking about it in the different situations. So that's something that's still up for discussion, and it depends on how many people are interested in it and what type of times you would need and stuff. All right. To help with the district employee parents financially, can the child care be free? That would be awesome. That would be something that would have to go through our cabinet and board. If we have multiple students attending on different days, that could potentially cost $125 per week. Yes, and if you have a lot of kids, ones would be $125 per day.
One.
Yeah.
Yes, the capital letter.
So at this point,
There goes my check.
I don't, free, I can send that up line. Brian heard it, so he can look at that. But that's not something that's within my power to do. And it'll be something we can discuss with Brian as far as if you are interested in the daycare, come talk to me and we'll talk.
Yeah, and that's really important. We're sending out a flyer tomorrow, and it'll say in the flyer to call Kids Club. But for transportation people, I'm very interested to see how many people in transportation are interested. So if you could just go straight to Diane, that'll be faster. But if you think you may be interested, please let her know right away, because how many people from the department are interested is really important as we start planning.
Okay, so get a hold of me. All right, so can we take a leave of absence if choosing remote learning without a doctor's letter because we don't feel comfortable being around the kids? You can take a leave of absence without pay. Yes, all you would have to do is submit the paperwork, and it'll go before the board. And normally it's a 30-day one, but that's what we talked about with Brian a little bit earlier. It can be extended past that simply because of the COVID. COVID right now is changing everything. All right, so Juan's interested. All right,
But then he says above it, I'm staying home.
No, the very last line, he just put it in. Okay, so everybody who says that they are interested, I'd rather you give me a call. I am going to have this recorded, but it comes out in pages that is quite small, so it'd be easier if you just contact me and let me know. If you want to write down Juan, at least we know he's there. Who do we contact? That would be me. As far as if you're talking about the daycare, that would be me. And Bridget, do you want me to put you on the list as being interested? No, unpaid leave. Okay, unpaid leave. That you would write a letter and send it to
Send it to me. Yeah.
Send it to you, send it to Brian McDowell. And you can do one of two things. You can either ask me and we'll give you his email, or if you go online to our website at woodstockschools.org, you can actually pull up his name and it'll give you his email to go to him. Yes, me, please, daycare. Okay. So we are not doing food deliveries once school starts. I don't know. At this point, it's not decided. It will probably not happen, but there is questions as far as depending on how many remote only students there are as to whether or not any part of the food program will continue. They are going to be sending food home with the kids at the schools. The same thing that we're delivering right now, they're going to give them as they're leaving the schools, and they'll get it for 2 days so that it takes care of the day they're in school and the next day. But as far as our remote kids, I'm not sure whether that's happening or not. That is something to be determined at a future time.
Since Brian's listening, sending that food home, I love the fact that they're gonna send food home. I'm worried about that food being sent home on our buses. Is there a way that can be packaged in such a way that it's not so easy to have a sandwich on the way home?
We're asking for free daycare. I could ask for free sandwiches too.
No, we just don't want them eating on the bus.
No,
We
I
want,
get
we
it.
want them to duct tape it together
Yeah, no, that
and
would,
wrap it around the
would be a-
bag.
I think
Duct
we
tape
could,
it completely.
I understand that because they're gonna tear those things apart.
Yeah.
They're gonna take their masks off.
Emily, on that, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk to Sue and we'll find out.
If I could just
What
jump
we can do
in, Diane, if I could just jump in for a second, because you brought up things that have come up a lot, and I'm gonna try turning my camera on, and I don't know if this is gonna work. Is it up?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. Oh, I can't see myself. Okay, but I'm gonna try there. Can you guys see that picture?
Nobody can see it here because I don't have you up on
Oh,
camera.
okay.
Only
Well,
the
I have
people that are,
I have a picture on my phone of my daughter plastered to the window of our house, waving to the bus that was dropping off her school supplies.
yep,
My wife reports she was jumping up and down like a lunatic, which is kind of how we roll in the McAdow house. But I cannot tell you how many positive accounts I have heard about the food delivery and the supply delivery. Principals love it, teachers love it, but most importantly, people in our community, our parents, our students, they have mentioned it, and that's not just the idea. That's the practice of you guys doing it. The way that you did it, the way that you made it happen. That's not just the idea. It's the fact of how you carried it out. So I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in that and everyone in transportation for being amazing during this really amazing time, but not amazingly good, amazingly frustrating, fearful, and changing, right? But everyone has really pulled together. The union leadership has been awesome to work with. Diane and Lori and everyone in the office has been great. But just like seeing the bus pull up to the school when we first started doing supplies, people were just like, some people were in tears because it was something real and normal for school. So I just want to thank you all for that. And that photo it's saved on my phone. That's something I'm going to keep for a long time because that was probably the most positive experience. And she's pre-K, so she doesn't know much about school or about anything, but she knew that those supplies were for her and those people cared about it.
I'll have to print that picture because it is an awesome picture. It really is. Okay, so I've got the questions of, if we leave the state, do we have to quarantine 14 days from work?
Not at this time.
Not at this
Health department has the ability to put those rules in, but the McHenry County Health Department has not. The only one that I know of is Chicago has put some things in, but as of now, there are no travel bans that resulted in automatic quarantine.
Okay, because you guys were talking, he said, not at this time. That is the McHenry County Health Department that makes that decision. Chicago is doing it, but it's up to each individual county, and right now there isn't, but they could do that at any time. So right now, no, you don't have to. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you're leaving in a car or a plane. We're not making the self-quarantine. We love it too. It is so very rewarding to help folks and see appreciative children and parents. Yes. Mine live when the bus driver. Yes. Yeah, we've had quite a few. I have to say that I've had more compliments from parents, but than the elderly people that have told me how we're wasting money having our buses driving around because they are driving around empty and wasting gas, and they're constantly driving by their houses. Unfortunately, those people happen to be on a street that has several children, so they were getting deliveries and food but once told what you guys were doing, most of them gave you all kudos to it and accepted the answer, and you weren't just meandering around town with the bus. Okay, so important. Any more questions? The next important information. Keep checking that website, the web page. I won't guarantee when the things come up. If something goes up there that is really important for you guys to see, I will send out a Blackboard and tell you to check the site. Route postings, if all goes well. We're hoping to get all the information by Monday, possibly Tuesday, depending on who I talk to. But that gives Lori 4 days to go nuts to get routing done. We are hoping to be able to get them out on the tables a week from Saturday. So that would be October 10th, that we would get them out on the tables, and that is the Columbus weekend. So the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. The 12th is Monday, Columbus Day. That will be when they are out on the table for viewing. I will get a list up on the webpage probably tomorrow or at the latest Monday that tells you route selection. The route selection is going to be the 13th, 14th, and 15th, which is that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to start at 6:45 in the morning and go till 4:45 at night to try to squeeze in as many people as we can in those first 2 days. And then we are going to do, the associates will do on that Thursday and talk about what we've got going on. And Friday, we're going to do a trial run. We're still in with all of our stuff that goes on at school. So a lot of you guys are going to already be driving, but we are going to want you to do the trial run so that you know where your routes are going. And you're going to have two, because you're going to have A days and B days, which are going to be different. They'll be close to the same things, but there will be some variations between them simply because the kids are going to be different as far as who you're picking up. And you're going to have to do your seating charts at that point. We'll give you paperwork so that you can start the seating charts once you've picked up once you picked your route. And we'll give you copies of the routes so that you can work on those seating charts and get it taken care of and do it. But on Friday, they have to be done on Friday. So whether you do it at home or whether you're doing it here on Friday, we need to get those done. We do want you to run through the routes at least once through both routes. We're not going to treat it like our normal trial run day. It's going to be whenever you can do it, you're going to do that route. And you're also going to do your seating chart. I don't think that we're going to have any other type of meetings or anything else due on that day. We will have supplies for you. We'll have, I will have more masks. If anybody doesn't have a mask or didn't get one of our masks, I'll have those. We will have masks for you to put on the bus so that you have them for the first day of school. If you want gloves, we'll have those so that if you want gloves, we'll have those ready for you too. Keep in mind that CDC has already said that gloves can be worse than helpful, because if you're touching things and you're thinking everything's okay, your fingers might be okay, but the minute you touch your face, the minute you touch your body, whatever's on your gloves is going to come off of it. And if they're infected, then you're going to. So gloves you need to use. Yeah, just use it if you really need to. Our special ed drivers and associates, you guys use the gloves because of the students that you're dealing with. But if you do feel more comfortable with them, we will have them available for you for the regular routes also. Anything else that you can think of, we have got sanitizer bottles that are going to be attached to your garbage can or right there by your, in the driver's area. And they're going to be basically they're going to be in a cup to where the bottles, I am going to say that we're going to want you're going to have to squirt them. If you have an associate, they can squirt some onto the children. You're going to make sure that you're using it with it. The bottles are not real sturdy. We've already popped the heads off of a couple of them by pushing down. So you just have to use some care when either your thumb or your finger to push it down. What did Judy ask?
What's for subs?
Judy, our three new people, Judy, Dale, and Maria. I think you're all on, but I'm not positive. You'll see your names on the route selection list. And what'll happen is that you're with our sub drivers. When it comes to route selection, we're going to make sure which sub drivers want to come in for a route or which ones are just going to stay subs. And then we will assign you a time on Thursday to come in and select a route if that's what you want to do. So once we get to actually having these routes for school, you will no longer be a sub unless that's what you want to be. There will be a route for you. I anticipate having more than enough routes for everybody that comes back to work, and I'm hoping that everybody comes back to work, we'd love to see your face and have you all back at work. And then, let's see, we got some questions. If we don't have enough, yes, if there aren't enough hours, we are going to figure out what you're going to do. I mentioned that earlier, that something is going to be in there that you'll be doing, whether it's afternoon work. I don't know what to anticipate for that yet. All right, isn't the seating going to be first on goes to the back and second on goes to the next seat forward and so on? Yes, and that too will be on the web page with a description on how to do the seating. If we have to put a second child in the seating, we are going to stagger them some. So that's how you're going to proceed for figuring out the routes or the seats for your route once you get a route. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Sign me up. I'm coming back. Awesome. Glad to hear you're coming back. All you guys, I'd like to see you back, but I do understand if there's a reason for you not to. But please, everybody come back. And if you know anyone that is looking for associates, we do need associates because we're going to have associates on every kindergarten route. Last on my list is just the field trips. There was an agreement that was made with the union when we came back to school, and we didn't come back live because we had an agreement through the summer or through the months that you were paid, and then through the summer. And then as we started back at school, we had another agreement on field trips and how they were going to be handled. As the green slips, right now for the drivers that are driving, if you're not working, if there's a reason you're not working that week because it's either an asynchronous day or it's a day that we have off or a holiday such as Monday, the 12th, make sure you turn in those green slips if you plan on signing up for any of the field trips. Otherwise, you don't get put into that mix of somebody that's available to do it, and it would be with the subs. As far as what we're going to do once the school year actually starts and we're back at school, we will be having another discussion with Lori and Christine and Risa and sit down and figure out how we're doing the trips and what's going to happen with them as far as if it's going to be a change or if we're actually going to go back to exactly how the contract says. It all depends. Right now, COVID kind of is throwing everything out the window. And as hard as we keep trying to stay true to our contracts, it's not always feasible. So we are working together so that it's workable for both sides. Any more questions? Would you like to let us know once the route pick list is up? Yes, I will do that. And actually, I'll let you know once the route pick list is up, and I will let you know definitely that the routes are going to be posted and make sure that we're all ready for route selection. Yes.
Two questions about food delivery routes. Are they going to deliver that Friday before school starts?
I believe we are going all the way till Friday for food delivery. Brian, do you know the answer to that? I think.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. All right.
So besides the food delivery route, we're going to have to take our buses out for a drive.
Yes.
That Friday.
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, seat assignments. A lot of high schoolers that are on, a lot of us have gotten route sheets with students. It says like we're going to have 100 students on our bus, and most of them don't ride because they're driving themselves.
They have a question on the survey that they're doing, or the question is actually a questionnaire that they're getting, and the parents are supposed to be telling us if they want transportation. So I'm hoping that the high school is the parents are being honest with us, because if they've got their own car, that they're going to put no, transportation is not needed. And we will have a better idea of actually who is going to be riding the bus. It's all, here, I'll use Brian's words that are my favorite. It's all fluid.
Okay, so, but essentially, the first stop that we're at, those students are going to the back of the bus.
Yes.
And so on and so forth.
Yes. At the high school level, you might actually be loading and saying, okay, this is what my seating chart's going to be. You can do one, but it's going to have to be improvised as you go, because we're hoping that the information is good, but we're only as good as the information we get. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on those charts as to whether or not they write. And if you get people that you had last year and it says that they're going to need and they never rode with you last year, let us know. because that may be one that we could actually contact and say, are you really going to use the bus this year? You haven't used it in 2 years, that type of thing. Any, yes.
Because there is the potential with the matrix for it to be fluid, or we could go to school and then be shut down for a while, would we be, if we go back to remote learning, would we be picking supply and food options? Or would we?
Haven't really talked. That's part of what I need to sit down with Lori and Christine and Reese on. My request is going to be that we keep it exactly as is, so that if we get to a Friday that all of a sudden the metrics go bad, and on Friday they say we're going to close on Monday, like they did to us in March, then I would rather be able to say, okay, we are going to be able to start, we'll go right back to what we were at right now.
The union agrees.
Okay, one question down.
One less meeting.
What? Well, no, same meeting, one less discussion. So that works because at this point, we don't know, and it may not be the whole district that closes down. It could possibly be a school. If something happens within the school, if the metrics change, it would be the whole county or our whole district, or however it works. But yeah, if our whole district shuts down, then we're still going to have all that food for that week because we were anticipating being in school. Supplies are iffy, but there could be stuff that has to get out to the students because they were expected to be in school. So I anticipate just flipping right back over to what we're doing right now. And everybody is back onto these terms and everything.
I think that gives people a little bit of stability in what they're going to be doing,
And
a little less anxiety.
yeah, and how to plan for it.
Right.
What's the final go, no-go day? This Friday before the 19th?
I don't know, Brian, can you answer that one?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Oh, he wants to know what the final no-go date is. At what point, is there a final date, or is it that the Friday the 16th? If all of a sudden they say no, then we can.
We have there's a Board of Education meeting next Tuesday, which I think actually is the 4th Board of Education meeting in a row. I don't think we've ever had that before, but on every Tuesday. But at that meeting, they're going to look at the metrics again, and they're going to make sure that the dashboard, the interactive dashboard that Diana talked about, is up. We have talked to the county. They've promised us it's going to be up on Friday, and we will send out a link to every staff member as soon as we have it. And then if those two things are in place, the metrics are still good, and the dashboard is up as it's been promised, they're going to vote that we start on the 19th. So if there's I don't know if that, I would call that, the drop dead date, but at that point, if they were to say, let's wait and see, I don't see how the 19th would be possible at that point. So, but, it depends, if everything stays the same, we get those two things, we're going to approve and go forward on the 19th.
So moving forward, and I don't remember what Dr. Moen said at the board meeting, moving forward, if we go to school for 2 weeks and then things start going south, will they shut us down like they did in March, where all of a sudden it's hey, we're too high, we got too high, you're not coming back to school on Monday? Or is there going to be a delay in that?
That, as I understand it, that all depends on what the increases are.
Okay.
We're tricking all up on, there's 4 metrics. So if we start getting close to the danger line on one of them, is it a warning? If there's some massive super spreader surge, then I imagine that we'd react differently. But, it's a rolling average, so we will see those increases coming. But, it's how they shut. And then once if we do go back, then it's for a minimum of 14 days as we work through that. But all that, again, it's running through the county now. They have a doctor assigned to an epidemiologist, and all that's going to be provided to us by the county and the health department.
Okay, did that answer your question? Okay, so a few more questions. What happens if a child's car breaks down and they aren't on a route? They can contact us. If it's something that we can manage, we will manage it. Otherwise, they will have to find another way to get into school. They will have to let transportation know if they need it later. Will we be choosing new routes when and if school comes back to normal? Maybe. The answer is yes. If we get to the point that we are on full day schedule and everything is back to normal, then yes. Will that be this year? It sure would be nice, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't anticipate that happening for this year. Whether we stay with the same hybrid we're doing or if they choose to do anything different, I don't know that we'll be back to normal. What do you think, Brian?
Well, again, that day will come. I think we'll all be so happy when it does. But I would say, Ann, that I do not see that happening. And I'll tell you this: Dr. Moen and the board have said more than once that they are, even if we went back to a all, everyone back or a full day in-person model, we are committed to providing a virtual model for those parents and those families who are not comfortable going back to in-person. So, and that's a commitment the board has said that they would honor for the entire 2021 school year. So even if we did have an option of, regular hour schedule, we would still have the virtual option. So hence normalcy wouldn't be in this school year.
And then the question was, okay, so the question is, are all routes going up again? Are special needs routes staying as is? Every single route will be up and posted, regardless of even if special ed stays as it is, that's going to be posted again. Whatever is going on right now goes on hold as of the first day of school. We will have every child that is going to school is going to be on a route and it'll be on the table to be selected. The only time that goes back is if we go off of school and we go on full remote again, then that would be the time when whoever had that route is going, if we go back to bringing kids in, then that'll I don't know, because of it being fluid, if we end up going on full remote, it was actually kind of weeks before we had any kids coming in, and that was this year. And that was because we were not on full remote because we got shut down. If the Department of Health shuts us down due to the metrics, then no students will probably be coming on until we start working our way back to coming back to school. Did that answer your question, I hope? Any other questions? Hey, Brian, you want to give me about a minute or two so I can go answer an important question? You want to talk to them?
Sure.
Them? Sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, don't worry.
Brian, tell us a joke.
What's 5,000 miles long and purple?
5,000 miles long is all I heard.
We didn't hear the second part.
What's 5,000 miles long and purple?
And purple. What's 5,000 miles long and purple?
The Great Wall of China.
The Great Wall of China.
Hey, do you know where, hey, Lori, do you know where extension cords do all the shopping?
No, Brian, I don't know where extension cords do all the stopping.
They're the outlet mall.
The outlet mall.
Okay, here's a kid one. Do you know why Cinderella is terrible at soccer?
I have no idea why Cinderella is terrible at soccer.
She always runs away from the ball.
She always runs away from the ball. It's been fun, Brian. I'll give you Diane.
All right.
How could I possibly follow that? All right. Any other questions? So a couple more things. Please let me know as soon as you know if you are not thinking about coming back. I just would like to get an idea of who's there and who's not, or kind of like as far as whether I'm going to have coverage. If you know of anybody that needs a job, send them our way. Can't think of a whole lot more. Other than that, it's nice to see faces and things. If you got any questions, please give me a call. I'll be happy to answer them. If you have any questions about leaves, you can contact Brian. He will take your calls too. That's mean, Lori. She just, our route supervisor just wrote down, "I'm not coming back."
I will not accept that. That is declined.
Brian's gonna have to get her a raise.
He says that's accepting that.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it, unless there's anybody else got questions? All right. You guys all have a good day. Thank you very much. And anybody who did not hear about the hybrid schedule, because I didn't have it on the recording, if you want to stay online, go ahead. I'm going to run through it real quick, just so it ends up on the recording, and then we'll be done for the day. So have a wonderful day, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, Brian.
everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Juan, whenever you want, go ahead and give, if you, anytime between 9 and 10, or do you need a different time? Yes.
Does it imply on Wednesday that if we say, I prefer not to work at all, is that okay?
Yeah, if it's no pay, yeah.
Good. So do I need to tell you or tell the girls?
Tell the girls for right now.
Okay, I'll do that on.
Fill out a slip. Just fill out a piece of paper that says you
Okay.
want to take it up.
So that's-
Okay.
That's just the day. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All right, so hybrid schedules. I did this before I started recording, so I'm going to put it on here real quick. Dearson is there. Everybody's on an AB schedule. Dearson and elementary schools are the A go on Monday and Wednesdays, and the B go on Tuesday and Thursdays. At Dean Street, their time is from 8:30 to 11:05. And we will have an associate on every bus with them. We will not be doing any certification letters. They will do that online. Elementary schools are 7:30 to 10:15. And we'll get the stuff online as far as releasing at the schools and procedures and stuff. Our middle school and high school are a little bit different. A is going on Monday and Tuesday, and B is going on Thursday and Friday. All schools on, I'm sorry, B is going on Wednesday and Thursday. A is going on Monday and Tuesday. All of the schools every other Friday will be asynchronous, and on the alternate Fridays, A will go one day, B will go one day. So one Friday a month, A will go, and one Friday a month, B will go. We'll be looking at 25 to 38 students on a bus. There will be a diagram for seating chart that will be on the web page. I'll let you know when all of that is up there. Other than that, I think that's pretty much what we covered before I started doing the recording. If there's any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Give me a call. Otherwise, for those of you that are watching this outside of the meeting, if you have questions, please let me know. We answered the questions that were here, and we are trying to, we hope we answered most of them, but if you have anything different, give me a call. Thanks. Have a good evening. Bye.
Real quick, what were the times for middle and high school?
The middle school and high school were, 8:10 to 11:25.
Okay, because yeah, you didn't get to say that part. You did.
Yes. 8:10 to 11:25 is middle and high school.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.